talk to, widely read.
She was yet another person to stand by the mysterious doctor, though when we interviewed her, she'd become afraid of him and asked to be interviewed in silhouette.
He seemed terribly interested in serial killings, and he seemed particularly interested in Ted Bundy, about whom I know nothing, but he was apparently an American serial killer whom no one had suspected.
Police in Zimbabwe were trying to build a case against Swanko when he left the country. His landlady then had some of her hair sent to a lab for chemical testing because she'd been feeling sick. The lab was surprised to find high levels of arsenic. It seems that sweet young man, she says, was poisoning me.
I'm very relieved he's not in the country, and if he returned, we would all be scared.
He went to work in Zambia next, but his life on the road ended when, on his way to Saudi Arabia to work in yet another hospital, he stopped in the United States, and customs officials noticed there was a warrant out for his arrest. But again, that warrant was just for fraud, for lying about his criminal past. Even though Michael Swanko is suspected of poisoning and killing dozens of people, no American prosecutor has yet found enough proof to charge him with that.
Isn't there something off here?
Something is terribly off. I mean, the fact of the matter is he's only in prison right now on a very relatively minor technical fraud charge. He should be charged with murder.
The FBI now may be one step closer to that. Dominic Buffalino's body was exhumed and his remains tested.
The Buffalinos were told that preliminary tests showed an extremely elevated level of nicotine poisoning.
And he hadn't smoked for 15 years.
That's correct. This is the physical evidence that had eluded so many investigators in the past.
Nicotine was one of the poisons found years ago in Swanko's house in Quincy. In high doses, it can cause paralysis, coma, and death. And it may also turn out that Kristen will provide a piece of evidence after her death. Kristen was cremated, her ashes scattered into the Chesapeake Bay, but Sharon had saved one lock of her daughter's hair.
That lock of hair became very valuable.
The FBI had it tested for poisons.
The FBI has said that they have the result, but they have not disclosed it, not even to Kristen's parents. It's my own, though, conclusion that if there was nothing in the hair, they would have told her parents, who are obviously now in anguish.
Today, Sharon and Al Cooper take comfort in their memories, and in this note that Kristen wrote the last day of her life.
My greatest joy in my life has been my work. I loved my patients, and many loved me back. Someone else's life in your hands is a huge responsibility, but I excelled and cherished it.
Of course, Dr. Michael Swanko also held lives in his hands. If no new charges are filed against him, he could be working as a doctor again in just a few months.
He may be released from jail. Should we be scared?
If he does wind up out here in society, what grocery store would you like to buy your food from? I'm afraid for everyone else out there. Who's the next victim? Where's the next sacrifice?
There are reports that the bodies of 2 other patients of Dr. Swanko were found to contain toxic substances, and investigators are now racing to build a case before Swanko gets out of jail. Sharon Cooper says a doctor or a resident with a felony conviction should not be allowed to practice medicine. It's just common sense, and it ought to be the law. So she has contacted her U.S. senators and is trying now to convert the heartbreak of losing Kristen to positive action and refocus her energy on getting the job done.
For more on Dr. Swanko, log on to our website, abcnews.com. And there will be a live chat tomorrow with James Stewart, the author featured in our story, at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. We'll be right back.
Next, these girls like guys who are fat, and the guys think the girls are slammin'. Is it simply the slang of another generation, or are teenagers hurting their future by talkin' teen speak? We'll get the word from Deborah Roberts when 2020 continues.
The dog ate my homework. I bet I need glasses. The teacher doesn't like me.
Hey, it's your gene pool.
For better report cards, not excuses, only Radio Shack has this uniquely educational compact. And now you can try out 38 software programs at home and choose 12. Plus, this week, save up to $550 with mail-in rebates. The Compact Creative Learning Series with Intel Pentium 3 processors. Only at Radio Shack.
My Italian mom's cooking was always full of surprises.
Like the Olive Gardens. Take their new seafood Alfredo. It's sauteed shrimp and crawfish tossed with your classic fettuccine Alfredo. Plus all the salad and breadsticks you want. The Olive Garden. When you're here, you're family.
Let's go, girls.
New Revlon Age-Defying Makeup and Concealer Compact. Ultralight concealer spheres float. Your skin shows through, but imperfections don't.
Defy it.
I feel like a woman. Get on your feet. Stand up and take some action.
At Toyota's National Clearance Event, you don't have to wait to find great year-end values and low financing on a huge selection of 99s. Like Camry, the #1 selling car in America 2 years in a row. You'll also find incredible savings up to $1,100 with Toyota's Extra Value Package. Get the Toyota you've been wanting. Your Toyota dealer will make it happen for you.
Get up and make it happen.
Dr. Scholl's next stop, New Orleans.
I play a lot of music on my feet.
So how do your feet feel?
That's pain.
Well, this can help. This is our new revolutionary massaging gel insole.
I like the way these feel.
It's like spring.
That's our new massaging wave system.
Really cool.
It gives you more cushioning than regular gel ever could before.
So give it to me.
It relieves tension in your feet.
Yeah.
It feels like it's massaging the foot.
My problem is my heels. Our new Dr. Scholl's Gel Heel Cushion could help that.
It really feels good.
Let the good time roll, Jack.
Dr. Scholl's, treat yourself right.
2020, now in its 20th anniversary year, winner of over 300 prestigious awards for excellence in broadcast journalism.
If they can clone sheep, cows, and even ABC correspondents, how bad can it be?
Just get a piece of genetic material from the Führer,
Adolf Hitler.
have 6 babies, 1 for each continent, and we could take over the world.
But would you want to clone yourself and raise it as your child? Brave New World, Thursday.
When I grow up, I want to work 20 hours a day at a law firm so I can live with 2 slobs who never pick up their socks.
When I grow up, I want to say, may I supersize that for you?
How hard is it to pick up your socks? I want there to be mouthwash that doubles as aftershave so I can spit on myself and smell good. At least it's not underwear. It's underwear.
I'll grow up. Coming Wednesdays this fall on ABC.
Hello.
It's the TJ Maxx Back to School Designer Event. Hot looks, cool labels, major savings. Happening right now. Fashion. Some people get it, some get it for less. TJ Maxx.
The meter is running during Chrysler and Plymouth's clearance minutes. Only through September 6th. Get 0% financing for up to 60 months on Chrysler Cirrus with ABS, Air, V6, and leather-trimmed interior. Or get 0% on Plymouth Breeze with Air, AM/FM cassette, power windows, locks, and power heated mirrors. Hurry in now, 0% ends September 6th. See your local Chrysler and Plymouth dealer. Official cars and minivans of the Philadelphia Eagles.
They are the time-honored complaints about teenagers. Their loud music, their outrageous clothes, and of course the incomprehensible way they speak. The parents we used to call squares didn't get it. And today, as parents, neither do we. But as Deborah Roberts reports, it's like so pervasive that, you know, like some educators are like taking drastic steps to do something about it.
It's the English language spoken sideways.
Like, my prom dress is wicked cool. Or that car is, like, wicked sweet.
A vocabulary for the young.
Like, if we're talking and we think something's cool, we'll say, like, that's fat.
Like, a girl looks slamming, like, girl in one fashion looks slamming. Butter.
Like this, like that, like, whenever she's talking. Every other word out of her mouth is like. Like, oh my God.
If you thought the Valley Girl fad was ancient history, or that the Clueless trend was so like 10 minutes ago...
That, did you write that? That's like a famous quote. From where? Cliff's Notes.
You might not have noticed that it's not just pop culture anymore. It's a national language. And if you're under 20, you totally get it. It's called Mallspeak. And look how many times like and you know creep in.
As teenagers today, it's like we don't have our own language or anything, but in a way I think like slang in some ways could be inappropriate, if you're going for a job, you want to make it, the best thing, impress people.
There's like only like certain words that like my friends would understand. Like if I said it to my mom, she'd be like, what are you talking about?
Like her, like friends and her, they kind of like talk more like that than we do, but like my friends, like we say like words like, I don't know, I guess like whatever and stuff like that my mom and dad wouldn't use.
It's become part of our lingo. It's just, there's like an empty space. See, I just did it.
It may sound rather humorous.
Like, I thought it was gonna be funny, but like it was funny, but not as funny as I thought.
But this kind of communication is driving some educators crazy. So some are now making an active attempt to weed out from students' vocabularies what they call verbal garbage. Two top colleges, Mount Holyoke and Smith, have added a speaking requirement across their entire curricula. Even if you're a science major, Smith College President Ruth Simmons says you should be able to speak in standard English.
It's about artful speech. It's about incorporating speech, good speech, into every element of the college curriculum.
These Mount Holyoke students have been debugging their Mallspeak since last September. Is it really that much of a problem out there? Do you hear enough Mallspeak to think that there really needs to be somebody addressing it?
It can be used as a crutch. When someone doesn't know what to say, that fear of silence is what makes them say, well, it's like, and just leave it hanging there. And you need to choose your words carefully, and what you say does matter. Your audience will hear it.
Last year, Mount Holyoke even opened a speaking center, a place for students to practice how to, like, argue, persuade and debate. They must practice and practice to lose those likes and you knows.
And then at the end, you're going to recap with telling me what you told me. Okay.
Tonight, 21-year-old Susie Holmes is getting help with a speech from Carrie Alme, a speaking mentor.
Have fun with it. Like if you are having fun up there and you show me that you're having fun and you convey that enthusiasm.
The next day, Susie has to give a talk to her economics class. And if she lapses into Mallspeak, her grade could be compromised.
As a representative of the International Monetary Fund, I am excited to be part of this conference.
Afterwards, she earned an A on her presentation. Good news for Susie, but are the language police going too far, moving in on a teenager's right to aggravate their parents?
They talk in spurts, not in full sentences anymore.
Well, when I talk to my friends, I'm not really worried about what I say, but when I'm meeting people's parents, I really have to try to be
proper.
Definitely proper, yeah.
Do any of you resent this attack on your language?
I have to say, I think that, Mom, forgive me, but I do believe that Mallspeak among friends has its own flavor. It has its own feel, its own comfort.
There's many different words that we use that no one else will basically use, no adult in their right mind would say them.
Which is why some college administrators say students need to speak the traditional way if they want to get jobs.
In college, we need to give students the ability to have all the skills they need to negotiate the world.
And if that means a world with a lot fewer likes and you knows, well, deal with it, Totally.
It's making us dislike the word like.
Oh, you're so right.
We should point out that it's not just these two prestigious colleges that are taking seriously the way their students speak.
Exactly. A number of high-profile schools, Brown, Wesleyan, Duke, MIT, and the University of Pennsylvania, are offering classes in proper speech, but they don't require it for graduation, Oh, sorry. We'll be right back.
I'm Jim Gardner. Neighbors and friends lend support to the family of a child whose daycare death has now been ruled a case of homicide. And a horse goes for a stroll through West Philadelphia after dumping its rider. And AccuWeather and more next.
Hey,
Just because you're grown up, you don't have to act so grown up. There you go. Yeah, man, that's better. Yeah, baby. Oh, try this Cinnamon Toast Crunch. Think it's kid stuff? No, it's cinnamon sugar swirled over squares of wheat and rice. It's good, ain't it? See, there's a new you already. Cinnamon Toast Crunch. It's the adult thing to do. No, we don't think so.
Tomorrow night on Nightline in Primetime, a new look at cloning. We know the horror movies and we've seen the sheep. Now, we dare to ask the question, why not clone a human being? Nightline in Primetime, tomorrow night at 10, 9 Central.
And on 2020 Friday, the shootings at a Los Angeles Jewish community center were frightening. But did the hatred have roots in an earlier wave of extremist violence?
We're all assigned someone to kill.
They were called the Order, and they spread fear across the country in the 1980s, committing armed robberies and plotting murder. 2020 takes a chilling inside look at the conspiracy of hate. Is it still smoldering? On 2020 Friday, that's at 10, 9 Central. And that's our program for tonight. I'm Hugh Downs. Good night to all of you, and to you too, Connie.
Thank you, Hugh. Good night. I'm Connie Chung. Thank you for joining us from all of us at 2020. Good night.
Up next, these sketches released tonight are the latest clues as police hunt for a pair of suspects in a Center City rape. The details coming up next.
For styles that are easy to live in, make it Stretch from Kohl's. It's a comfortable look at a comfortable price. Define your look at Kohl's.
What makes men sexy to women? Find out tonight.
Action News, Delaware Valley's leading news program with Gary Papa, Dave Roberts, and Jim Gardner.
Family and friends coming to a home in Roslyn, Montgomery County to console the family of 4-month-old Sydney Tillison. She was the baby who died at a daycare center in the West Oak Lane section of Philadelphia, and tonight police say this is a case of homicide. Wednesday night, and the big story on Action News tonight is the latest on the investigation into the daycare death of a little girl. Action News reporter Dan Quayer has been following the probe and has the latest from police headquarters. Dan?
Well, Jim, although the medical examiner has ruled this case a homicide, saying 4-month-old Sydney Tillison died of a fractured skull, homicide officials are saying tonight no arrests are imminent, at least not tonight. Meantime, neighbors say Sydney is the only child of Lewis and Lisa Tillison of Roslyn, Pennsylvania, and Montgomery County, and they say the Tillisons are devastated.
I know Lewis, that he's into the church, and his wife and them, and they just touching people, man. For something to happen like this to them, I could never imagine.
As Leonard Bolden talked about Lewis and Lisa Tillison, neighbors he loves dearly, a steady flow of visitors went into the Tillisons' home to pay their respects. The couple declined to comment at this time, but neighbors poured out their hearts to them.
I love them from my heart, and if I can do anything to help them or do anything, which I don't have a whole lot myself, but I would break down on my knees, man, to help these people right here.
Meantime, police have questioned and released 51-year-old daycare operator Connie Roberts of West Oak Lane as city and state regulators differed on who was responsible for watching over her home-based daycare. State regulators say, as far as they knew, the woman has not been licensed to operate since January of '96. And L&I officials say that in '97, Roberts told them she was retiring due to illness and would no longer need a city license. But these women who had babies there didn't know that she was operating illegally.
No, we did not. I thought she was legal because she had a license and certificate on her wall.
But they never looked closely to see if it was expired. In any event, both took their babies out of the daycare a while back after they came home with numerous injuries, ranging from bite marks to other bruises. They knew they were right when they heard what happened to Lavasha Johnson's child, who reported to DHS that he came home with a broken arm.
It's a shame that her services wasn't closed down then when she filed the police reports and took it up with DHS.
Well, we reported on Lavasha Johnson's story last night. That was back on May 5th, and DHS did find substantial evidence of child abuse in her child. But they referred the case to the Department of Public Welfare, the state of Pennsylvania. DPW says they didn't even know the woman was still operating a daycare, much less that there was child abuse there. So no one followed up, no further investigation, and it begs the question tonight, could this latest tragedy have been averted? Live at